Thanks Dalstrong for sponsoring this video.
Alton Brown, probably the godfather of Food Network, at least for me. I watch this guy all the time. Not only does he have a tremendous amount of knowledge, he's funny, he knows what he's talking about. However, he doesn't cook steaks that often. Today, we're gonna see him schooling me on how to cook a steak properly. So let's begin.
You know, friendly food folk often stop me in the street and ask me what my favorite steak is for grilling. They're often shocked, surprised by my reply, for it's not the ribeye nor the strip. It's not the tenderloin or the flank.
It's not? What is it then?
It is the skirt steak.
By the way, that is one of the most popular steaks here in Miami. It has a tremendous amount of flavor. It is an easy steak to grill. And most importantly, it used to be affordable, but it became so popular nowadays that it's ridiculously expensive, everybody. Almost as much as a premium steak.
Part of the diaphragm. That means that it is technically part of the plate subprimal, and it works nonstop.
That's a good point. And the reason he's letting you guys know that is because the more the muscle works, the more flavor he has. However, it lacks on tenderness. But if you cook this one here properly, and most importantly, slice it properly, the tenderness will be there.
Just got these out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna let them sit at room temperature for 60 minutes before introducing them to the heat. That's right, 60 minutes in the bacterial danger zone.
So here's the deal. I'm glad he's talking about that. The danger zone, everybody. I've done so many different experiments on this topic. Leaving your steak outside at room temperature will not rise it to the danger zone unless you surpass 2 to 3 hours. If you leave your steak at room temperature for 60 minutes, it will not reach the danger zone. That's one of the reasons why FDA recommends to leaving your steak at room temperature for no more than 2 hours. Another thing a lot of chefs say is that you want to temper the steak so that it cooks faster and evenly. I've done an experiment on that as well, and at least for me, it doesn't do much. There's not much difference between leaving a steak outside at room temperature to temper to make the steak better. If you have something that is powerful and you're gonna get a nice fast crust quickly, you don't need to leave it outside.
You know what? I'm not worried about bacteria at the surface of the meat for two reasons. For one thing, we're gonna sear these steaks with temperatures well in excess of 1,000 degrees, and we're going to brine them. Not, however, in a liquid. We're just gonna sprinkle liberally with kosher salt and then wait that 60 minutes. Moisture will be pulled to the surface and will dissolve the salt. And of course, the sum of that is that bacteria don't like salt.
I love it, everybody. This is literally called dry brine. It's one of the techniques I use more often than none. And the reason is because it flavors the steak all the way through. And most importantly, it dry outs the steak as well so that you can get a faster crust.
There. You're gonna wanna do this if you can on a rack so that room temperature air can move
100%.
all around. That's it.
I agree.
Anything. You can see why this might be one of my favorite recipes of all time. There is no recipe.
That's true. So I guess he's trying to show a technique versus a recipe, because only salt on a steak is fantastic. For this specific one here in Miami, a lot of people just like to marinate it. If you're getting a high quality steak from a good source, you don't need to marinate it. Just using salt is good enough. If you want some extra flavor, add a little bit of pepper. If not, salt is good enough. That's how I like to eat picanha.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this
Nice.
is mine.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this one is mine. That's well said right there. Before moving forward, I want to thank today's sponsor, Dalstrong. I've been using Dalstrong knives for years, and I absolutely love how reliable they are. Yes, they're beautiful and razor sharp, but good culinary tools are an investment. So lasting quality and reliability are key. Dalstrong makes some of the best knives in the world, but they got much more than that. They also make some of the best barbecue and grilling tools. Pretty much everything you might need for grilling season, you'll find it at Dalstrong. From pitmaster knives to chef or cleaver hybrids to carving knives, you will even find things you didn't even know you needed until now. Like this meat claw, just a better way to shred up meat. Or the meat hammer, a great tool for tenderizing meat. I'm telling you friends, there's a reason why I have so many Dalstrong knives behind me. I'm addicted to them. I want a knife that is gonna last me a lifetime. It's not gonna break the bank. They never let me down. And most importantly, it has to look good, because if it looks good, you're gonna use it more often. Barbecue season is right around the corner, so make sure you go to Dalstrong and get everything you need. So if you're interested, head over to Dalstrong to gear up for grilling season. Thanks Dalstrong for sponsoring this video, but now let's get right back to it.
This is my grill. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My grill is my best friend, and I must master it as I master my life. First things first, get rid of this lid and this cooking grate.
Why are you getting rid of the cooking grate? What?
Just enough charcoal to cover the bottom in a heavy layer.
I'd say I've got probably 1.5 to 2 quarts of natural.
Ooh, see what he did there? That's something I would never do, everybody. He's putting the coals right in the middle of the grate. You know what that means? That you're not gonna have two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is a key of controlling fire. But you gotta remember also, he's just cooking skirt steak. He needs one type of heat, super hot. But still, for good practice, you should always have 2 zones. If you're cooking a Wagyu skirt steak, that thing is gonna flare up like there's no tomorrow. And the last thing we want is for it to burn. So having a 2-zone cooking is a must, in my opinion.
Light it however you want. Me, I'm using this fancy Swedish heat gun called a Luftleiter.
Okay, I've used this thing here before and it works, but it's just not as faster as my flamethrower.
It's not as fun.
Then just evenly distribute across the grate and then lay the meat directly on the coals.
Oh, he's using what we called the caveman technique. Now I have a few issues with this technique. Number one, you cannot use any type of charcoal because if you do, you're gonna be in huge problem. If you're using briquettes, they disintegrate. They produce a tremendous amount of ash, everybody, and all that ash is gonna be going on your steak and it's just not gonna work. If you're using lump, it's okay. But here's what happens when you put the steak directly on the coal. That was my dryer, by the way. It brings the temperature of the coal down immediately because you're suppressing it from oxygen. Not the best method. But if you ask me if it works, yes, it works.
Yes, some of the charcoal's probably gonna stick. No, that's not a problem. Little ash never hurt anybody. It'll turn into a delicious sauce. Yeah, I mean it.
I want you to notice one thing. Where there is Maillard reaction, these nice golden brown parts, is where the charcoal was not touching and there was air flowing through it. But where the charcoal actually is, it's gray.
Remove the hot meat directly to a large piece of heavy-duty aluminum foil. You're gonna wrap this up into a tight pouch, as airtight as possible because we wanna reserve as much heat as we can.
That is a fantastic technique. I use it quite often because remember, even though you just took it out of the heat, that doesn't mean that it's finished cooking. The residual heat will even everything out. Think about this. Steak has 2 edges, the top and the bottom. You're playing with a tremendous amount of heat and it's all coming down towards the middle. But then you took it off the heat. But these 2 parts right here, still super hot and it needs to even out towards the middle. By covering the whole thing and reserving that heat, you are redistributing that heat properly, cooking the steak all the way through. So I have no doubt that it's going to be perfectly medium rare.
Oh my. Just smell that aroma, will ya? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't smell that, can you? Well, believe me, it smells very, very good indeed. And look, see, most of those little pieces of ash that had been stuck on here just kind of dissolved into this beautiful little sauce that's gathering there. So let's cut. I'm just gonna move this off.
Let's see how he cuts it. I'm curious.
What I like to do is just stack the meat like this and kind of cut into sections.
Go into 3 sections here. That'll make the pieces.
Exactly the same way I do it.
But when you're ready to slice, you want to go against the grain so that it will be more tender to.
Take a look at that, everybody. It's nicely medium rare. If you say that that's raw, then I'm so sorry. You do like charcoal with your steak. It is not raw. It's perfectly cooked. Sometimes the lighting acts up and it looks a little bit weird, but I can tell you immediately. However, it could use a better crust for sure. How is it? How is it? That face says it all, everybody. You can't fake that kind of face, you know? It's freaking delicious.
Move all this to a platter and then pour the remaining juices over it and serve it alongside some nice grilled vegetables. Then again, you could just sit here and eat it, which is what I'm going to do.
That was a fantastic demonstration on how to use the caveman technique. It is a good technique if you don't have access to a grill grate, okay? But if you do have your grill grate, use it, everybody. It will be better. But if you're outdoors cooking with over live fire and you go like, man, I have no grill grate, throw that thing on the charcoal and it's gonna be phenomenal because cooking over charcoal is better than any gas grill you might have or even something like a stovetop induction. It will be better than that, I guarantee you. And don't don't forget, all of my products now exclusively available at your local Walmart. Let me show you the exact locations you can find it in every store. It's going to be right here. They call this area As Seen on TV or Trending Now. We got the one-of-a-kind burger press. You can't find this griddle anywhere because it can be used in any surface. And let's not forget about the marinating kit. And if you want to keep your grill nice and clean, I got you covered. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.